Good morning and welcome to another episode of Josh and Pat. I'm Joshua Klein, joined by Patrick Cassett, and this episode is brought to you by our Patreon. If you enjoy the show and want to support, the link is in the description. But Joshua Dobbs might just be a football genius. He was on a plane to Minnesota on Tuesday, and by Sunday, he somehow knew the playbook. Now, he was literally going over his cadence with the offensive line minutes before the game started. Then all of a sudden, in red zone situations, he's knowing exactly what to do. Patrick, is Joshua Dobbs actually a good quarterback in the NFL? Or is this kind of like a Baker Mayfield goes to the Rams magic situation?
No. Joshua Dobbs, and we've been preaching it all year on the show, Josh. Joshua Dobbs is a guy. And that guy is a playoff adjacent quarterback. We saw it last year with the Titans. We saw it the first couple weeks with the Cardinals. And now we're seeing that magic with the Vikings. They're set up to go on an all-time run, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, it was very funny to see the fans. Actually, not funny. I think the touching is the right word. To see,
tribute.
All the Vikings players wearing their Kirk Cousins T-shirts. I did see people on the internet, think that and assume that he had passed away. That was kind of like getting some steam there as people, you're like, oh man, like, so sorry about the loss of Kirk. He's good, guys. He's alive. But it was a good team win against a team that's pretty bad, though. So I don't know how much stock we put into this win. But Joshua Dobbs plays good football, and it makes sense that the Cardinals wanted him out of there because he was ruining their chances at getting potentially, a good quarterback for next year, as Kyler Murray still hasn't come back.
100%. And, with Joshua Dobbs, you do have the size advantage over Kyler Murray, which is huge because, Kyler coming off a torn ACL, he's probably getting shorter by the minute. But for the Vikings, I mean, Joshua Dobbs is the guy. He is the guy that's going to lead them to a possible playoff berth. And by the way, wearing number 15 with the purple pants, I mean, he was looking like primetime Michael Vick in Atlanta yesterday.
Yeah, now some are saying, and I'm not saying it, but some are saying Joshua Dobbs is just the new Fitzmagic. I'm not saying it, though.
No, you're not saying it. But Fitzmagic never got a fair chance. And so maybe this is the right opportunity for Joshua Dobbs.
Yeah, you're right. What happens if he goes out and plays really well for Kirk? Does Kirk all of a sudden go, like, you ever see the the old video where he's like, oh yeah, it's a good pass for a backup kind of thing. I mean, if Joshua Dobbs plays really well and it turns out it is the Vikings system and it is having great wide receivers and everything else that Minnesota has, it could be a tough look for Kirk, but we're not going to cross that bridge till we get to that bridge. Yeah, he'll be fine.
We're not there yet.
On the other side of the ball, though, Patrick, the Atlanta Falcons just completely forgot about. I mean, they spent a top 5 pick on a guy named Bijan Robinson. It was top 5, right? It was
10,
top 10 at least. We know top 10 on a guy named Bijan Robinson. They just don't use him at all. They don't want it. It's like, hey, mom, can I get the new iPhone, the new iPad, new Xbox? Gets it, never plays it. We all had that one Christmas gift that we really wanted, and then we got it. We played it for like the first day, and then we kind of forgot about it. I mean, that's Bijan Robinson here.
Yeah, but it might be one of those situations where, you get the gift, and then you start using it, and you realize, well, maybe it's not as good as I thought it was. And is there a conversation to be had with Bijan Robinson that's like, hey, maybe it's not as good as I thought it was? Because we see the highlights when he's on the field, but Josh, what if there's something else going on? Maybe he's not paying attention in meetings, Josh. Maybe he's in there, he's going, man, we got Fortnite coming out this weekend. I can't wait to hop in with the boys. And Coach Artie's like, hey man, I need you focused.
Yep. Dial in. Yeah, no, there's a chance when he didn't play last week because of sickness. There was a tweet catching some steam that maybe he was vaping in a team meeting.
Yeah.
And I think that was debunked pretty quickly. But I guess we really don't know. Artie Smith is in the hot seat right now. I mean, more than any coach I've seen, people are not happy that he's not using Bijan. And I think a video came out of a kid dressed up as Artie Smith. And it could have been Artie's kids. I'm not 100% sure.
We're not.
But that kid, right, was dressed up. He was calling plays for Bijan. And everyone in the comments was like, get this kid on the field. Because he at least knows what to call.
Yeah, it's I'm an Artie guy though. I'm pro Artie. I'm happy that he finally made the switch to Heineke because I mean you put a guy deer in the headlights out there, he's gonna at least ball out because yesterday Heineke wasn't the problem. It was the defense. You can't give up 31 points to a rookie quarterback that's been there for 5 days. So yeah, I mean it sounds like they got some things to work on, and that's good.
Yeah, it's fair. Speaking of Patrick. Not things to work on. I guess things to work on. Bad transition.
Great transition.
The Raiders locker room. It was electric yesterday. The Raiders looked like they won the Super Bowl. And to my knowledge, they have not.
They didn't. Yet.
So now some are saying that the post Josh McDaniels regular season Super Bowl champions is at this point seeming more impressive than the preseason Super Bowl championship that Washington has.
Yes.
I'm not here to make that comparison. All I am here to say is that those boys look so happy right now.
It was a bounce back. It was a bounce back for the Raiders, man. I love it. You bring in Antonio and he's gonna light the boys up. Now, I have no clue. I'm right hand up. I have no clue if this is gonna work next week, but It does help when the starting quarterback tore their ACL and then you had to go against Tommy DeVito again. That probably helped them out a bit.
Yeah, that's very tough for Daniel Jones. We feel bad for him. We're glad he made his money though already.
Right. Which is good.
Getting that contract signed is good. Get your money early. It's a good thing. But the Giants, man, they're not a good team. And Patrick, this is a team that legitimately won a playoff game less than a year ago.
And
I don't know how you could fall off that fast.
Yeah, it turns out that it generally does help to have players. And I think maybe the Giants weren't that good. Maybe, hey, they went on an all-time run, Josh. We talk about it. We talk about an all-time run on the show, and that's what they did last year. And I think that's all we can say.
Did the Raiders win the Darren Waller divorce?
Well, yeah, I think so. The divorce. Neither team won the divorce, Josh. They both suck. I don't know what else to say.
Well, we could say, there's a lot of things to say about the Raiders team. We're excited for them moving forward, though. I believe, I'm a believer. Speaking of believers, you're a believer in a guy named Taysom Hill, and Taysom Hill has now become the first player to ever have 10 passing touchdowns, 10 rushing touchdowns, and 10 receiving touchdowns. You are in the belief that he should be the starting quarterback for the Saints. Talk to me about that when they could barely beat the Bears.
Well, you're talking about Tyson Bagent, who is not bad. He is not bad. He's frisky good.
Not bad.
Is what I would call him. Okay? He's frisky good.
Okay. That's a good point.
Because he beat that same Raiders team. Let's not forget. Okay?
You're right.
That just won the midseason Super Bowl. So, you start putting it on paper, and it's a tough one. I like Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill was your leading rusher yesterday. He's a guy that's going to go out and catch balls. And not to mention, he had 100% completion percentage yesterday. Derek Carr can't say that. When Taysom Hill comes in the game, he lights the boys up. He gets the boys fired up in the huddle. And I'd argue the same thing with Jameis. So, in an ideal world, I think you put Jameis and Taysom out there, and you say, let's have fun.
That would be fun time. You're 100% right. That would be fun.
Because, Josh,
I don't know if... Okay, go.
Josh, the Saints aren't good. I know they're 5-4. They have a winning record, but they aren't good. So if you're not going to be good, be fun to watch. And Jameis and Taysom can make you fun to watch.
No, that's exactly what the Bills are right now for me anyway. They're not good, but they are fun to watch in the sense that I have no idea what's going to happen in any play. Josh Allen could go and throw a bomb, or he could throw the first ever intentional grounding. So I 100% hear your point, Patrick.
Best
Sometimes
thing I've ever
fun's
seen.
better.
Fun is better.
The Josh Allen pass was wild there, if you guys saw it. It was literally so off the target. It wasn't that he was being sacked. It wasn't anything. It was just so far off the target that it was an intentional grounding. And I've never seen it before in my life.
You know how hard that is?
But gosh, man, it's fun to watch. They are fun to watch, the Bills. Now, if you were rooting for the Bills, your life is miserable right now because you technically are a missed pass interference and if Chris Godwin just turns his head just a tiny bit
right
away from having a pretty big losing record. But then again, I'm sure you'll figure it out. But they're a fun team to watch. Taysom Hill is fun to watch.
He is. He's fun to watch. And so if you're going to be mediocre, just be fun. And that's why Taysom Hill, because look, he's got all of Utah on his side. So if you're the Saints, you build up that base. You build up the Mormon community and you go, let's go to work. It's Zach Wilson, Taysom Hill. In a dream scenario, can you imagine if that was a Super Bowl matchup, Josh?
Oh, that's crazy. Now, is he Mormon?
He went to BYU, so I'm going to assume it's a stretch.
Okay, so tell me about this, about BYU, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
Because
they're in the Big 12.
BYU, Mormon school.
Mm-hmm.
Or are they actually like affiliated with the Mormon church, or is it just a lot of Mormons go there?
I think there's a lot of Mormons that go there because I think it's one of those scenarios that's like, it's Texas
you want to meet
Christian
other Mormons,
University.
you have some friends go there.
I don't know. I don't live in Utah.
Now, and so there's just like a school and they're all like, if you're Mormon and you're going to like a big time college program, it's just you're going to BYU.
It sounds like you're going to BYU.
And that's because also it's in Utah, and Utah is the Mormon mission field. Like, is that where it is? It's like
it has a large.
There's like
Mormon
a special. There's a special thing there, right? There's a special thing for that.
Sure, Josh, you know more about this than I do.
About the Mormon church, I only know what South Park taught me.
Well, and then it sounds like South Park taught you a lot more than I know.
Well, South Park taught me now. We're not a anti. Well, I don't know what we are, and as far as our stance to the Mormons, but all I know is that the person Joseph Smith, he got the tablets from the Mormons, Patrick, right? And he said that God gave him the tablets, is what the Mormons believe.
Oh,
and then one day, those tablets got destroyed. And so he had to actually get God to give him new tablets. And then for some reason on the second time, they were just completely different. Now, so I think God maybe was doing some revisions on them. But interesting. I mean, it's interesting out there for sure. Patrick, C.J. Stroud has more career passing touchdowns than Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. Well, but you got to remember that Matt Canada isn't the offensive coordinator for C.J. Stroud. And the argument here is Matt Canada's a winner, Josh. All he does is win games. It may not be pretty. It may not look good. But imagine putting Matt Canada in that Texans offense with C.J. Stroud. They're putting up wins on the field. And that's the one thing that the Texans are being okay at right now.
Yeah, no, they're kind of doing it. What are you talking about? I mean,
but the
Texans are a playoff team, Patrick. I'd argue the Texans are doing better with C.J. Stroud than they would be with their former quarterback. No,
Davis Mills.
Two former quarterback.
Oh, you're talking about Josh McCown.
The two-time former quarterback. And so, no,
TJ Yates.
Three-time former quarterback. How many quarterbacks have they gone through in the last year, Patrick? What?
Wait, didn't Tyrod start a game for him too?
Jeez. Oh, my gosh. That's ridiculous. All I'm saying is CJ Stroud's playing really well, and he has a career day. You have to feel good if you're a Texans fan, knowing that there's a chance that you might just be good now.
Mm-hmm.
And CJ Stroud, far and away the best quarterback in his class, right?
At the moment, no doubt. CJ Stroud proves to be the guy. And it's weird because you got to think about it. He went to Ohio State. Imagine he maybe gets the number 1 pick if Michigan isn't stealing signs, because then maybe he balls out in that game and he gets the number 1 pick, Josh. So really the Texans,
Dude, think about that.
had an alliance with Michigan to kind of tank CJ Stroud's draft status.
That's an interesting theory, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know how far this Michigan scandal goes
The
implications that it has on kind of shaping the landscape of the league.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, just maybe, Patrick, this all goes back to a Roger Goodell thing where Roger Goodell is using Michigan to kind of reshape the draft landscape, to reshape the NFL and kind of hand select where he wants players to go. And maybe he saw Texas and said, listen, I know CJ Stroud is the best quarterback in that class. The NFL scouts, they know that. And I'm not talking about like the team scouts. I'm talking about the exec scouts, the corporate scouts.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they said, we need to get this guy to fall to number 2 so we can throw Texas a bone, because
Josh,
they've kind of gotten just, yeah.
Right. And you know who the biggest donor is for University of Michigan?
Who's that?
BlackRock.
You did not. That's not real.
Yeah, it's not real.
Don't look it up though, because we fear that might there's a chance it could be true. We're not sure.
We're not sure.
Well, I'll tell you what. That's good for them. Kenny Pickett, man. They Steelers are getting wins though, but I mean we're gonna go back to our conversation the other day. I was watching videos of Pickens, Patrick, walking off the field after Deontay Johnson got a touchdown. Just not happy at all. I saw him throwing his helmet on the sideline. Kenny Pickens does not want to be there at all. And then also he went and I think removed every picture on his Instagram in Steelers apparel.
Like I'm not. Can we be completely honest? I'm not so sure George Pickens is actually that good of a receiver. Like he can make really good catches, but I'm not so sure he's like that good of a receiver. So a guy in his second year is already throwing a temper tantrum is the funniest thing ever, because you're not that good, dude.
Well, okay, here's what I'm gonna say, Patrick. If we gotta have to do some digging in the history here to kind of find out where it all stems from. Because prior to the veteran locker room presence right now is Deontay Johnson, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of been there. And we saw some issues, obviously, with Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, and you're like, why are these guys all acting up? You have to think about where the mentor tree goes to. It all goes back to one particular Steelers wide receiver who mentored a player, who mentored the next player, who ended up mentoring those players, and it's Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is the godfather. And Antonio Brown is the godfather of that wide receiver tree.
Uh-huh.
And so even though he never played with Pickens, he still mentored the guy who's mentoring him. Or mentored the guy who mentored the guy who's mentoring him, at least.
Yeah, in this wide receiver tree that Antonio Brown has built, I mean, let's not forget some of these names. We bring up George Pickens one. I mean, we see Martavius Bryant, he's a guy that is sure to show up and definitely be a part of your roster on a game day on Sunday. And you start piecing it together and you're going, man, maybe Antonio Brown's building a legacy.
Yeah, I mean, definitely building something. I saw him on the golf course the other day, Patrick, just swinging one-handed.
Really?
I mean, literally, I don't know what he's wearing a very, fashion forward outfit. I don't know if I think it's the best way I could describe it. He's like, I'm going to go yard, just one hand. I'm not going to use two, not today. and I'll tell you what, he looks like he's having fun. I'm not going to try to read into if he's actually having fun, but I mean, he's out there living at least. So I don't know.
Did he ever come out? Did he ever come out with the CTE podcast?
Oh, was he going to do that? I know he's talked about the struggles of it, and I have no doubt that we have empathy towards him, but we also understand that doesn't make all your things that you do right.
Right.
But
and we also, I'm not a doctor, but we also do know that he has not been diagnosed with CTE. You can only be diagnosed with that after you're dead. So
I have not seen Will Smith talking about that yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen Will Smith in months, if we're going to be completely honest.
He's kind of dropped off the face of the earth. We should check on him.
Well, and he's got a big rivalry with Tupac. He probably went to go find him, and he's probably going to clear that up.
Yeah, because there's some comments about Tupac. I mean, the current wife, ex-wife, I'm not sure.
Well, 7 years. It sounds like it's an ex. Yeah, and you know what? That's terrible for the community for Joshua Dobbs, because Joshua Dobbs is like a hero, and I believe they both have alopecia. And then Jada Pickett is kind of bringing negative vibes to that.
She's not good for the brand, but Joshua Dobbs is so good for the brand.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, Joshua, if I wanted my organization to have any organization to have a face of it, I'm picking Joshua Dobbs. So
for anything,
kind of a home run there.
We could get him on any campaign. Like if you want Cover Girl, maybe like Cover Guy. If we're starting a spinoff, I'm for it.
Cool. Staying in the AFC North, Patrick, the Browns are winning despite Sean Watson. Now, he didn't play terrible. He's just not playing that great. But turns out you have pretty good run game, really good defense.
Mm-hmm.
That covers a lot of flaws in the NFL. And it seems like the Browns are kind of figuring out a way to get it done.
And he said it this week. He had a lot of guilt not being able to go out there with his boys and be able to play football. He said it's the most guilt of his life.
Guilt he's ever felt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I'm happy that he could get that off his chest this weekend. And it's good to move on from that for him.
Yeah. It's the most guilt he's ever felt. And so he's able to go out there and play now. He's helps the team get a big win. And
Thanks.
I think, we'll see what happens next week when they play the Ravens. It's going to be tough. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. It will be. History tells us that, Deshaun Watson this year has not lost to the Ravens when he's played. And so that's a wild card coming into this game.
That's a great point. Cool. Patrick, we had to do some house cleaning here. I've created what's called our fraud chart.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to move a team from fraud watch to fraud warning. And we don't put adjectives in front of this, but it's actually severe fraud warning.
Yeah.
And that is the Dolphins. The Dolphins have not beat a team with a winning record.
They have
lost
a good thing to do
to a team with a winning record.
Yeah. And so if I was the Dolphins, I'd personally go out there and I'd try to beat a team with a winning record, because I think that'd get you off the fraud warning. Might just send you to a fraud watch. But, if I was them, I'd try to correct that.
And by the way, they were one loss to any other team away from probably being just in the fraud category. And I know some people are going to argue that they should be in the fraud category. Now,
we're not there yet.
We know what we're talking about when we do frauds. We called it last year with Philadelphia, after they lost into the Super Bowl.
Now, it might take a while, but we get it right.
It might take a minute, but we get it right.
And arguably, we gave a lot of warning. So, like, we gave a lot of warning for you guys to get off the ship last year. So we know what we're talking about.
100%. Cool. Last thing on the docket, Josh and Pat updates. Anything for us, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, this is it's gonna be an all-time week down here in Athens. I'm really looking forward to it.
It's gonna be all-time week coming up here in Athens. I would be a part of it. I'm excited. It's gonna be a great time. That's all the updates I got for you. Anyway, guys, that's the show. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hey, if you guys want to support the show, again, there's a couple ways to do it. You can go to our Patreon, support there. You can also go shop our merch at picksandpancakes.shop. We have a ton of merch, good stuff. And you can go to picksandpancakes.com to read everything that's happening in sports. Those are the ways you can support. We appreciate your support. And we'll see you guys on Friday for another episode of Josh and Pat. And tonight for our Monday Night Live stream. We love you, boys. Peace.